Instagram. Let's talk about saunas. What do you think? I'm going to invite an expert on saunas into the show for you. Give me a second here. Here we go. My friend Connie Zach is going to be joining us to talk about what saunas actually do. Hey, Connie.
Hey, Dave. How are you?
I am well. Good morning. Good afternoon. Where in the world are you?
I am in Leawood, or actually I'm in Overland Park, Kansas right now.
Kansas.
Right in the heart of the Midwest. Yep, middle of the United States of America.
You know, one of my favorite stories from Kansas was a mom who told me very early in the start of Bulletproof. And she said, I feel so guilty because I went on the first road trip with my 2 or 3-year-old and we're driving and he sees trees in the distance. And he goes, look, Mom, broccoli.
Ah!
Because he'd never seen trees being
Oh
from
my
Kansas.
God. That's funny.
Anyway, Kansas is just fine. I'm totally teasing you.
I know
but,
you are. I can handle
we have
it.
people from all over the world coming in right now. Let's talk about saunas because that's what you do at Sunlighten. Guys, I've been using a Sunlighten for many years now, and so I wanted to talk about the benefits. They are they're a major part of what you can do for making your mitochondria work better. And we've had thousands of years of steam saunas and sweat lodges and stuff like that, but the infrared stuff is different. So let's talk about infrared saunas. Why is infrared different than other saunas?
Oh, the wavelength itself is able to penetrate into the body versus staying in the air, which is where just regular saunas, the heat stays in the air and it doesn't go into your body and doesn't change, your cells and doesn't increase your core temperature the way that infrared does. So infrared is natural and it's healing. And what Sunlighten has done over the past 20 years, it's been super special, is we have really researched and found a way to master the delivery and deliver the highest concentration of infrared into the body. And we patented that. So you can have peace of mind that you're not going to get more infrared anywhere else than at Sunlighten's. And that's really important because this is totally one of those things where concentration is better. The most amount is better than less. And because you want to get as much as possible into your body, increase your core temperature, vibrate your water molecules, change, create a hormesis type change, and then receive all the benefits.
Okay, so there's 3 kinds of infrared
Correct.
That are possible. And we didn't really understand this much about what each of them did biologically. So if I look back at my first infrared sauna that I bought was in 1996, I think. And it was not, we'll say it was definitely not all 3. I don't even know what it was. Correct. But I used it and you get kind of sweaty, almost too hot on the surface of the skin. And when I sit in the Sunlighten, it doesn't get that hot on the surface of the skin, but you sweat like a lot, which is a big deal. So of the near infrared, mid infrared, far infrared, can you walk me through the difference of what they do in your cells or what they do for health? So start with near. What does near do?
Sure. So near is the shortest wavelength, which is why it's called near. It's the nearest to the sun. So if you were able to deliver it via heat, which you're not, it would be super, super hot because it's the closest to the sun. So that's kind of how, you kind of categorize it near and then mid and then far is the farthest away from the sun. But back to near, you have to convert it to LEDs in order to deliver the benefits. And so there is no heat. It's the wavelength is coming through from the light, emitting diodes, and those go onto your skin and make some massive changes. So they're really great for wound healing. It's great for scars. It's great for regenerating new skin cells. So it's great for, I call near the vanity wavelength because it's really great for making yourself, look and feel better. And then my other favorite benefit of near is the way it works with those hard to get areas on your body for pain. It's very powerful for muscle recovery and for pain, like in the back of your neck or like on my knees or on my feet, like those types of areas. It really, you can, as soon as you put the near infrared, the LEDs on that area, you start to feel the impact, and you start to feel the nerves start to be not angry and just completely relaxed. So that is a summary. I mean, there's other benefits, but that's a quick summary of the benefits that I really, you know,
you won't you won't really see anything with it though, because it's infrared.
Right. It's invisible. Right. Yeah. Right. Within the near infrared, I mean, that's a category we can talk about for, you know, a lot of time, because within that category, there's invisible, which is the most powerful. And then you start to get into the colored light within the near infrared category. And then the next, if you go over as far as not as close to the sun, so the next one's mid, that's probably this wavelength, knowing what was happening in the late 90s. That's probably the majority of the wavelength that you had in your sauna, because back, like we started in 1999 and in the early 2000s, companies didn't really understand infrared at all. And they really didn't understand how to filter out the non-infrared wavelengths. And so they really just had the heat, and the heat is in the mid-infrared category, so it feels hotter. And so there's benefits to just regular heat, right? So the mid-infrared, it's really great for caloric burn, you know, it helps circulation, you know, it helps to really mimic exercise, right? So that's a benefit.
There's a couple of questions coming through. Number one, these kind of wavelengths have nothing to do with electromagnetic frequency wavelengths like pulsed electromagnetics or 5G or anything like that. These are light wavelengths versus radio frequency wavelengths, to clear that one up. And we're not talking about light therapy. Like my light therapy company, True Light, does like red and amber. That's a different
totally
thing
different
than this. So it's funny, there's invisible light and then there's visible light. And if you want to be like technical from a physics perspective, they're all wavelengths, starting with, oh, I can feel it, it's warm. And then, oh, I can see it, and all the way up to X-ray and things like that. Those are all on a spectrum, but we cut it into chunks. So visible light, totally different effects, totally different thing than what you're doing. So you get into a sunlight and sauna, and you can actually change the color of the lights, which has some effect on the brain, which is cool. There's a chromotherapy thing that's possible with it, but it's what you feel in your body. You start sweating and like, what's going on? I don't feel like I'm in a breathing hot air, scorched earth kind of sauna, but I'm feeling really good. And then you dump a lot of toxins. And we haven't gotten to that yet, but when you're using an infrared sauna, the percentage of toxins in your sweat is like so high compared to what you would get in a normal heat sauna. So you could sweat a liter of sweat, and it's mostly water and salt if it's just a hot sauna. But in an infrared sauna, it's a whole bunch of other gunk that's coming out. What is the kind of gunk that comes out when you do that?
Yeah, we have data that shows mercury, lead, cadmium, a lot of the really bad stuff, the oxycodone, like all that stuff. So that's a separate, you know, can be a separate discussion. Arsenic, we notice a difference in like the blood levels as far as the HDLs, the cholesterol, the increase, like we talked about, the increase in circulation. You know, we did a study in 2005 that showed a significant reduction in blood pressure by just sitting in there for 30 minutes for 3 times a week. So that's a major benefit as well. So yeah, there's a lot of junk that come out, a lot of petroleum. I mean, a lot of just smokers. It's another thing. I mean, really notice the difference in the color of their sweat, you know, but so that nicotine is coming out. It's really so powerful at giving you that wonderful,
the tar,
clean.
Not the nicotine. Because nicotine, you won't see that coming out of your sweat. Because if so, I use nicotine as a cognitive enhancer, but I never smoke, and there doesn't seem to be a difference there. But there's like smokers have all that yellow crap in them.
Yes.
Advanced glycation end products, probably.
Yeah.
Tracy has a question here.
Yeah.
You said something that I want to tie back to her question. You said it can lower blood pressure, and Tracy says, I feel terrible in a sauna or super weak after. Tracy, you probably have low blood pressure already. So when you get in there and the body's relaxing, now you don't have enough blood in your brain. So what you do in the model that I have, the sunlight, you can lay on your back, put your legs up. You put your legs and your butt right up against one of the elements. And by the way, if you heat up your butt, you're going to have less cellulite on your butt, which is probably a good thing to do. And then all the blood that was in your legs comes down, and you'll probably feel much better. And then afterwards, you can follow it up with a cold shower. That'll probably help you keep the blood pressure where you go. And you might want to listen to the episode of Bulletproof Radio, maybe with Nick Foles, the SVP, Super Bowl guy, who his wife Tori has something called POTS, postural orthostatic hypotension, which means when you stand up, you have low blood pressure, your heart can race. So people with low blood pressure in saunas, it can actually help you get rid of the toxins that are causing the low blood pressure. But if you feel like super woozy afterwards, then you'd want to say, okay, how do I counteract that? And it's usually blood pressure based. And I have had POTS since I was a young child, as far as I can tell. And so I manage my blood pressure, because you do not want to have low blood pressure. That's worse than having high blood pressure. But most people have high blood pressure, and that's why they should get into a sauna. And the studies are very convincing. If you look at longevity, like I did for Superhuman, my book, How to Live to 180 or longer sort of thing, the countries where you do saunas 4 times a day or more, they just die less of all causes. And so I think if you're to say, what could I do that makes a lot of sense that's going to make me live longer? Well, a sauna is good, but you could spend 8 hours a day doing stuff that makes you live longer, and then you don't get to live for 8 hours. In the sauna, you can call a friend. If your phone gets too hot and it's waterproof, just dunk it in ice water. It's okay. And you can watch Netflix. You can read a book. You can meditate. You can do anything you want. So you get the time back, right? And I did, as I was writing Fastest Way, I sat in the sunlight every morning with my 10-year-old at the time son, and we would sit there and we'd talk for a half hour while doing a sauna, and we'd read Ryan Holiday's Daily Stoic, right? So it was actually family time in the sauna where we're both getting healthier. You look at your Oura ring, it's like, oh, what kind of exercise did you do? Like, I was in the sauna, I didn't actually exercise, and my heart rate went up, and it thinks I exercised, and I got the benefits of exercise. And my heat shock proteins that come out from exercise and from sauna are there. So this is one of those high ROI things that I think are worth doing. And because the sunlight has the 3 wavelengths, that's the one I've been using for quite a while now, and the one that I like. In fact, I'm remodeling the house where I'll be moving at some point. That's just here on Vancouver Island, but closer to my new restaurant and Upgrade Labs. And we're putting a brand new sunlight in there as well.
That's great news.
All right, so we talked about near and mid. We didn't get into the far infrared, which we talked about. Tell me why far is different than mid and near infrared.
So far is the farthest wavelength from the sun, and it is the coolest of the 3 in its natural form. And so that's what, like you talked about at the very beginning when you said, when you in a sunlight and sauna, it feels like so different than when you had your one in 1996, right? Because the air inside the sauna is not a lot of this oppressive heat wavelengths. It is almost 100% of just the most precise far wavelength at the right micron level to penetrate the body and to increase the core temperature and to change the body. So the far is if it's done correctly and you have the maximum amount on its own, it can be, I don't want to say cooler because that makes it sound like it's cool, but it's not as hot as those, like really hot air, hot saunas. And as a result, one of the great things about that is it provides a more enjoyable experience. So you can stay in there long, because the whole point is kind of like exercise, right? Like this is such a mimic of exercise, without the active cardiovasculars. You want to stay in there. You want to be in there and to absorb these benefits. And like you said, you want to multitask while you're in there. You want to get your meditation. You want to call a friend. You want to listen to music. You want to close your eyes. You want to do deep breathing. And there's so many different things that you can do that you can stack so you can get multiple benefits while you're in there. So far as, that's the one we studied the most, and we patented the first because that's what we understood. And then we started 10, 12 years ago to delve into, okay, let's figure out how to separate them and deliver each wavelength independently. And then we spent the last, 6, 8 years really, really doing a deep dive on that near infrared. But it's great because you can you really can get all 3 in one place separately and independently. And then we have those 6 programs that we've already designed to mimic science. So if you want cardiovascular, you just press the cardiovascular button. If you want anti-aging or relaxation or detoxification or pain relief, you just press those buttons and bam, behind the scenes, all the software and wavelengths have been precisely tuned to deliver the right pulsations, frequency, and quantity of each wavelength.
One thing that's really cool is that if a lot of people haven't had a chance to try or feel what this is like. And it's hard to put words to it. The biohacking conference is something I've been putting on for actually the last 9 years, but we took a couple of years off for COVID. It is back on September 17th through 19th in Orlando, and you guys are going to be there.
Yay!
So if you go to biohackingconference.com, and I'm going to post the link, you can actually come there and get to touch and feel all the biohacking technologies that I've been talking about. So you'll be able to go and you'll be able to see Connie. You'll be there in person, right? I
think so.
Okay, good. So. And you'll have the saunas there so people can feel
we definitely
element feels like.
Will have the saunas. We'll definitely have Sunlight and staff there. Like we are all in. We're super excited. And I see there's so many questions. So like for those of you who have all these questions, I mean, you can come and you can ask them. I mean, obviously we'll answer as many as we can now, but just in general speaking, if you want to see and touch and feel and experience and just really, really want to deeply understand this topic, we will be there and we will answer everything and make sure you get the information you need.
Well, there's something else that you're doing, because anytime I talk about stuff that I use, I ask for a discount for people who follow me on Instagram or listen to the show and all. If you guys use code DAVE, then Connie is nice enough to give you $200 off a cabin unit and free shipping. So that's worth almost $600, or $100 off a solo system and free shipping worth about $249. So there you go. You guys, if you follow me, you always save money on stuff that I use if I can possibly negotiate it for you. Here's the link. I'm posting it for you right now.
Yay.
And thank you for offering that to people who follow me. And guys, you don't have to buy anything to be a biohacker. Just be really clear. Right. You got to understand how the body works. And biohacking is changing the environment around you and inside of you so you have control of your own biology. You can go out in the sun and get some infrared from all 4 of these wavelengths. You'll also get a sunburn if you're in there for too long. But sun is good for you, and I recommend it. And maybe you're saying, I don't have access to that kind of heat. I'll take a really hot bath. Okay, it's not the same kind of thing, but the mechanisms are still there. And what I'm doing, especially with my new company, Upgrade Labs, well, it's not that new, but it's my new CEO focus. There, we're saying, how do we get more signal into the body in less time? So can you exercise more in less time? Can you sleep more in less time? Can you recover more in less time? Because that frees up more energy, more time for you to do stuff that matters to you in your life, whether it's parenting, working, relaxing, traveling, whatever. Like it's your time. But if you have to spend 40 hours a week exercising and eating kale and a bunch of stuff that doesn't work very well, then maybe there's a better way. And that's my job here. And I think infrared saunas are worth it because you get to do whatever you're going to do anyway, like listen to Bulletproof Radio while you're in the sauna. So you get your time back and you get a ton of benefits that look like exercise and more, including that collagen synthesis, wound healing, weight loss, all that kind of stuff. So it's just one of those things where, hey, maybe you're there to get a sauna. Maybe you don't have space. Maybe you're not ready. That's fine. But if you are there, I just saved you a couple $100. There's that.
And I've seen a lot of people say on here, I don't know if you've seen those things scrolling, that they listen to Bulletproof Radio, while sitting inside their Sunlight. And so there's a lot of people that have already figured out that, double solution, that double stacking benefit.
It's cool. I've done a lot with breath work over the years with holotropic breathing. And James Nestor's been on the show, and Wim Hof and guys. So if you're into breathing meditation, you do your breath work in there. Or if you're just doing any of the visualization stuff, we just put out another podcast about that with Emily Fletcher and Light Watkins. So you can sit there, listen to stuff with Dr. Barry Morguelan. Whatever your practice is, it's all there. So you're going to wake up, you're going to meditate, maybe. Well, okay, wake up and meditate in the sauna, and then check off the box that says I exercised today. You didn't actually move, but you got the cardiovascular type of that. So you're like, wait, exercise, meditations, and you do the math, and pretty soon you're like, wow, I actually checked off all the things that make me stronger today. And that's why I want to do this interview with you. That's why you're at the biohacking conference. And on that note, Connie, thank you for sharing your knowledge with everybody listening. Guys and women, thank you for listening. And I hope to see you at the biohacking conference, where likely Connie will be there, and certainly the saunas will be there, and hundreds of other toys to play with, because that's what it's all about. Hugging people, making eye contact, seeing them smile, all that kind of stuff. We're doing that because it's in Florida where it's legal to do that. Biohackingconference.com, sunlighten.com. See you guys later.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Connie.
See you there.